Hi everyone, Thom Yorke Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Thom Yorke LP, Anima. This is the newest musical solo effort from Radiohead frontman Thom Yorke. It's also attached to a short film. I'm not going to go over that in this video, but still, this is a bit of a multimedia endeavor. If you have been following Thom's exploits, you know that he has been keeping himself pretty busy as of late. At this point, it's only been 3 years or so since Radiohead released their somber but powerful A Moon-Shaped Pool. And last year, Thom released a massive hour-plus soundtrack attached to the Suspiria homage directed by Luca Guadagnino. So recently, we've had no shortage of Thom Yorke in our lives, and he just keeps it coming with this new album, Anima. Honestly, there have been quite a few Thom Yorke musical extracurriculars that I've found pretty underwhelming. Atoms for Peace, as well as Tomorrow's Modern Boxes. But 2006's The Eraser, though, was definitely a respectable debut solo outing. Its eerie, glitchy, IDM-inspired brand of art pop has aged fairly well through the years. I definitely like it more than The King of Limbs, and it's unquestionably more consistent than Hail to the Thief. It's been well over a decade at this point since Thom has put out some solo stuff that's really left a strong, positive impression on me. As a result of that, I will admit I didn't go into this new LP expecting to be wowed or blown away, but I was surprised at just how much I enjoyed it. Because Anima is easily Thom's most immersive and detailed album since The Eraser. I wouldn't say he changes his style up too much though, he's still very much inhabiting these spaces of IDM and glitch. But the instrumental palettes on Anima offer more space, more ambience, surreal or even slightly psychedelic production. From Traffic to Runway Away, the tracks on this record offer cerebral, synthetic soundscapes, progressions that move in a very subtle and linear fashion. It's like I'm listening to all of these meditative but slightly dark and dystopian musical motifs or sonic mood boards, as the appeal of many of these tracks I think comes down to repetition or creating an entrancing vibe. Plus there are only a few tracks where I would say the lyrics and the vocals are super clear, super upfront, and actually guide the tone of the song. For example, the song The Axe, whose point of view lyrically is coming from a place of paranoia and violence. The haunting mantra on this track certainly has stuck with me post listening to this album. I thought we had a deal. As Thom is singing in this very open, very wet mix like a very, very tiny voiced creepy ghost. There's also the stunningly dejected Dawn chorus, whose vocals are very deadpan, maybe the most understated that I've ever heard Thom on an album. Again, I think the power of this record comes down to the cycling hypnotic beats and synthesizer tones that are thick, rich, analog. I wouldn't be surprised if Thom spent hours just twiddling knobs to get the synths to sound in just the way that they do on this project. Whether he's playing a literal analog synthesizer or just doing it all through an interface or something, I'm not sure. I will also say a majority of the sounds on this record are mixed immaculately. I'm not sure why, but projects like Tomorrow's Modern Boxes as well as Amok just felt so dry and flat and lifeless to me. Even though Anima is just as minimal, if not more minimal instrumentally than those records, it feels like it has so much more presence. Again, sounds generally on this record, fantastic. Maybe with the most major exception of the clunky bass line on the cut Impossible Knots. How well engineered this album is becomes overwhelming at points, like on the track Not the News, where the bleeps and bloops that are kind of guiding Thom's voice through the track are eventually enhanced with these lavish, wonderful, gorgeous string sections on the back end of the cut. This track also features one of Thom's most pained vocal performances on the entire album, pretty powerful. Runway Away has this unique stillness to it that I don't think any other song on this record has. As I listen to this one, I feel like I am not listening to a progression or a sound piece, but I am just existing in a space. It's intriguing in that sense, even if it's not one of my favorite songs on the record. The rest of the tracks on the album, though, in my opinion, are kind of uniform in just how apocalyptic, how eerie they are, the track Last I Heard, as well as Traffic. Where the album ends up faltering is when Thom hands over a composition or a progression that's just a little too repetitive, a little too one-dimensional or one note. I'm a Very Rude Person is most likely the biggest offender on this front, also the closer, also again, Impossible Knots. I think the way to put this album simply is that for people who have been aware of Thom Yorke's work for a while now, but haven't been convinced artistically of his solo genius as of this moment, this record is most likely not going to convert you. This project is very much in the same stylistic vein of a majority of Thom's work. Also, I think many of the flaws of Thom's past records have also carried over onto this one. I also have a hard time imagining this album just being listened to in a casual sense. For as dreary as The Eraser is, I think that album is probably an easier listen by comparison with Anima. This is very much a mood album that I would recommend specifically for like a very solo headphone type of experience. And in that context, it's very good. It's just not an album I imagine many people just throwing on whenever. For those who have gotten quite a bit out of Thom's solo work so far, I wouldn't be surprised if many of them saw Anima as Thom's best work, if not at least on par with The Eraser. Having said all of that, though, I personally am still not blown away by this record. To get to that point, even though I do love the sounds, I love the mixes, I love a lot of the meditative progressions, I would need some stronger lyrics. I would need some stronger melodies. But as an album that seems like Thom mostly taking some abstract shots over synth progressions and beats he's been developing, it sounds really cool. I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best to the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Thom Yorke, forever.